Martyrdom and humility. One who is made worthy of martyrdom must have great humility and love Christ very much. If he goes to martyrdom with pride, grace will abandon him. Do you remember Paisios, who was about to be martyred and yet denied Christ at the very end? "Why did you bring me here?" he said to the executioners. "But aren't you a Christian?" they asked him. "No," he answered, and he was a priest. It seems to me that perhaps he went to his martyrdom with a sense of pride at first and not with humility. He was not going to martyrdom for his faith, for his love of Christ, and for this reason grace abandoned him. For one acts out of pride and egoism, he cannot receive the grace of God, and at a critical moment he will deny Christ. Geronda. We often say that God will give us strength during difficult times. God will give strength to a humble person who has a pure heart, who has good intentions. If God sees a truly good will and humility, he will give great strength. In other words, it will depend upon the will of the person for God to give strength. Geronda. You said that one must have humility and goodwill. Is it possible to have pride and goodwill? When we say humility, we mean that one should have humility at least as far as martyrdom is concerned. One may be proud, but then he must humble himself and say, "My God, I am proud, but give me a little strength." Now to be able to witness to your love and redeem my sins. In this case, when he approaches martyrdom with repentance and humility, then God gives much grace. The point is not to go proudly, with the thought that he will become a martyr, that a synaxarion and a service will be written for him, and an icon will be painted of him with a halo. Someone told me, "Father, pray for me to reach the fifth heaven." I asked him, "While St. Paul only reached to the third heaven, you're asking to reach the fifth. Why not? Doesn't he say that we should strive for the best?" What impudence! In any case, if someone should seek martyrdom only to have glory in paradise, it is better not to even think of martyrdom. A true and proper Christian, if he knew that even in paradise he would again have suffering, a martyrdom, still he would long to go there. We must not imagine that if we suffer something here on earth, we will be better there in heaven. We must not add things up like a shopkeeper. We want Christ. Let there be martyrdom every day. Let them beat us every day, twice and thrice a day. It doesn't matter. The only thing that concerns us is to be with Christ. Geronda. Can someone live indolently and, when necessary, confess boldly? For someone to be able to do that, he must have inner goodness, sacrifice. This is why a said nobility and the spirit of sacrifice must be cultivated. One should sacrifice himself for others. Do you know about Saint Boniface and Saint Aglaia? They lived their wretched life in Rome, but as soon as they sat down to eat, their mind went to the poor. They ran first to give food to the poor, and then they sat down to eat themselves. Even though they were overcome with passions, they had goodness and truly cared about the poor. They had a sense of self-sacrifice, and God helped them. Even though Aglaia lived a sinful life, she loved the holy martyrs and cared about the holy relics. She instructed Boniface and other servants of hers to go to Asia Minor to pay and gather the relics of the martyrs and bring them to Rome. And he told her in jest, "If they bring you my own relic, will you accept it?" But she told him, "Don't joke about such things." Finally, when he got to Tarsus and went to the amphitheater to buy the holy relics, he observed the torches of the Christians and was immediately moved by their forbearance. He ran to them, kissed their bonds and wounds, and asked them to pray for him. so that he would be strengthened by Christ to publicly confess that he was a Christian. Then he, too, confessed and was martyred in the amphitheater, and his companions bore his relic and took it to Rome, where an angel of the Lord had informed Aglaea about this event. Thus, what Boniface had predicted and just before leaving Rome had happened. Later, after distributing her property to the poor, Aglaea lived another 15 years as an ascetic and became a saint. You see, they were not helped at first, and their life had deviated into evil, but they had the spirit of sacrifice, and God did not abandon them.